Hi, I'm Chris Stirewalt, and it's time for Power Play. Hi, Internet. You know what time it is, or at least you ought to be getting to know what time it is by now. It's Take 5 time. Remember, for the Democrats to regain control of the United States Senate, they need to pick up a net total of at least 5 seats. They need to flip 5 seats from red to blue in order to win. Yes, we know there are asterisks in Colorado and Nevada and all that stuff, but we want your 5, and we have been giving you your best responses and the overall score at Fox News First. And remember, you can email your answers in at foxnewsfirst@foxnews.com, and boy, have you, and we're grateful for that. But, you know, we all need a little help sometimes, so we turn to the experts to get their insight on the Senate races that they think represent the easiest path, the most direct path for Democrats to get back into the majority. So who would we ask? Who could we turn to for something like that? How about our dear friend Shira Center? She left Washington, yes, because she was fancy. And she went up to Boston, and she was a pretty big deal. And now we find her, she is the politics editor for the Boston Globe. Is that possible, Shira?
It is. True story. True story. Fact check says true.
Man, I don't know. It seemed like you were just at the Hill like a minute ago. But we are so grateful that you're joining us today. We know that you're always a Yinzer at heart. We know that your soul is in Pittsburgh, so that makes you okay.
And my terrible towel has not been removed from my cubicle yet here.
These things are important because when we get to football season and the Patriots are full of fulminations and hatred, it will be harder to maintain, but that's all right. So
interesting day to be in the newsroom during Deflategate, but yes.
Yeah, you waved your towel very low, very quietly at your cube. All right, so here's the thing I want you to do. I want you to start out. What is, do you think, the number one, the easiest pickings? And I know what you're going to say because you're smart. What's the easiest pickings for Democrats this cycle?
It's got to be Illinois. Illinois is definitely at the top of the list. I mean, this is a state that traditionally votes for Democrats, especially to federal office. This is a year, it's a presidential year, so turnout is going to be higher among Democrats. Senator Mark Kirk is up for re-election. He barely won in his first term in 2010, which was a great year for Republicans, and Democrats got their first choice as candidate. She has some primary competition, but Tammy Duckworth looks like she's going to be the Democratic nominee. That's really hard to see how Mark Kirk wins that.
All right, so we stipulate on number one. What's number two for you?
Number two, Wisconsin, easily. There you have Ron Johnson, again, another one-term senator seeking re-election against the guy he defeated in 2010, the former Senator Russ Feingold. So if you look at the polls already, in many ways it's flipped from where it was 6 years ago when Feingold was down in all of these polls before Election Day. And then Ron Johnson beat him this time. Feingold is looking stronger in polling. And beyond that, again, it's a presidential year, and Wisconsin does tend to, in federal elections, especially presidential contests, vote for Democrats. That's a hard tide to turn if you're Ron Johnson.
All right, number three. You're going with the chalk so far, but what do you got for number three?
Number three is Florida.
Really?
I'll say it. Yeah, I'm going to go with Florida. I mean, that's a tough primary for Republicans. You have the lieutenant governor, you have 2 members of Congress, and you have, I mean, this changes perhaps if Jeb Bush or Marco Rubio is on the ticket. Maybe this changes, but still, this is a presidential cycle. I think there's going to be large minority turnout in Florida, and that's going to help the nominee, probably Patrick Murphy.
Well, but what about Patrick Murphy's primary? Doesn't he have a case of the Graysons?
He does have a case to the Graysons. You know, if Grayson wins that, I will completely revise this list.
Okay, I'll leave you a trapdoor on that. All right, number 4, what do you got?
Number 4 is my home state of Pennsylvania, actually. And I'll say these are the most likely to flip right now. These are the ones Dems need to flip, right? This is not the most likely to flip.
Right.
Nevada in at some point there. But in the state of Pennsylvania, you have Pat Toomey, another guy who won just by 2 points in 2010. Pennsylvania is a state that trends blue in federal elections. Democrats have a primary issue there. The guy that came within a couple points of defeating Pat Toomey, former Representative Joe Sestak, is running again. National Democrats not too happy about that.
No.
So he has some competition now. Those 2 events might be related. And that's who is the former chief of staff, the governor, and also formerly a candidate for governor herself. She's already picked up some establishment support. I think she's going to be a strong fundraiser. So she's their nominee. I think Pat Toomey has a really tough race ahead of him in a presidential year.
All right, number 5. What's rounds out your 5?
Number 5 is one that is very close to my new home, and that is the state of New Hampshire. Right now, you have Kelly Ayotte, who is another first-term United States senator from the Granite State, and Maggie Hassan, the governor, is very seriously considering running against her. We'll know once the budget is done in a couple months, and that would be a really interesting race. New Hampshire is a swing state, so it's a tough one. Kelly Ayotte has strong approval ratings, but so does Maggie Hassan. So I think that'll be an interesting one. And also, how rare is it to have two women who've been elected statewide face off against each other? I think that's fascinating.
It's as rare as hen's teeth, but Hassan seems to be waiting to pull the trigger. Do you think she gets in? I understand the budget excuse, but it seems like she's shown some more reticence than national Democrats would like. You think she gets in?
Because the United States Senate looks like so much fun these days. No, I do think she does get in the end. I'd be very surprised if she does not. There is already chatter about who could run for her seat. And remember, in New Hampshire, they elect governors every 2 years. And even if she doesn't run, you have a couple other people who could step in pretty quickly. They would not be as formidable as Maggie Hassan, but they would still give Kelly Ayotte a pretty strong race.
Do you know what winners in Las Vegas do? They take the chalk. And you just heard the chalk taken, but hopefully Shira Center will come back and reappraise those picks once we have the primaries out of the way. Shira, we miss you. We hope you're having a great time up in Boston. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Chris. Have a good one.
You bet. And you, Internet, thank you for being with us. And we hope that you will go to your Internet machine and send us an email at Fox News First at foxnews.com, Fox News First at foxnews.com. Tell us your 5. What are your 5 picks? Tell them and tell us why, and we'll share your answers with the class maybe. Thanks for coming by. We'll see you back for more Power Play real soon.